Hey you guys, this is Honey.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Mauricio.
Making Changes is about
interviewing people from the community.
Everybody has a story.
We talk about their obstacles, we talk about challenges.
You never know. Sharing your story might help somebody else.
What they go through, how they get through it.
And we also give you resources that can help you out.
And how they overcome them.
So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching.
Hi everyone, I'm Honey and this is Making Changes, and on today's episode we have Ashley with us. Ashley, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Honey, for having me today, and we really appreciate your platform and having us on here today. A little bit about myself. So I was born and raised in the San Gabriel Valley, originally an LA girl. I've traveled a long ways, all in between. But the thing is, like, finally making the journey back here to home has been a long and lengthy process. And so let me go ahead and give you the story in a short. But when I was 21, I got married, and I had been married for about 10 years. And then I had recently gotten a divorce in 2021. There was a lot of things going on in the relationship that weren't kosher. There was a lot of abuse, in a sense where it's financial abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, all types of abuse that you would think of. And it was one of those experiences that really came to open my eyes about a lot of situations. And like your show is called Making Changes, I made a lot of changes through that experience. So if it wasn't for all those times that actually happened, it actually served me very well, because I wouldn't have been here today. And
How were you married?
Yeah, I was married from 2012 to 2021. So almost 10 years. We'll just say I met him about 2 years prior, and so we actually were dating for about 2 years. And there was just a lot of signs that how already was a bad thing. But the thing is, with a lot of young people that fall in love and really just put love in front of everything, they don't really want, and choose the word want, to see all the red flags.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
Hoping that it'll change.
You're right. And I don't believe I was on the basis of changing this person. I was looking to grow with this person.
Right.
But the thing is, if somebody doesn't want to grow, they don't want to persist a little bit better in their life, even if they've been through trauma, if they've been through bad times, you would have to work on yourself at one point, because then other people change and they're like, oh, I'm a bit left behind. But that's just where it came down to. This person just wasn't that person that wanted to develop any more than he did. And just a lot of his ways were not very matching up with a lot of the values and a lot of the feelings that I actually had. I'm a very happy person, just in general. I'm very happy-go-lucky. I'm pretty carefree. And he was just such a Debbie Downer. Like, he wasn't really the most positive, very pessimistic, and always looking on the wrong side, not the bright side. And it was just really difficult to cope with that type of person and that personality.
Yeah. Did you guys meet in school? Or?
We actually met through music, subculture. I used to go around in a lot of different clubs, either be reggae, ska, rocksteady.
Really?
Yes,
So
I really love music. That's something that has always been my passion. But
if you guys go on her Instagram, you guys will be able to tell. I love when you post the videos and you're dancing, and you're right, you're extremely happy on everything that you do.
And it's my outlet. It's my expression, not for really anybody else. I perform for myself because that is a form of therapy for me. I'm like, oh, let me just do my thing. And, you know, if people like it, or people find that interesting, or they find it actually a bit motivating for themselves at times, then yes, of course. Like, people reach out to me. They're like, hey, like, you looking happy makes me a little happy today.
It's a domino effect.
I love that, and I'm glad that I can, you know, spread that on, and like, hey, that's the reason how I met you.
Yeah.
Yes. And so continuing on with that story, that just that whole personality was coming really down on mine. That identity, you know, from that person pretty much soaking into my own really started to get me to a point where I'm like, who am I? Like, what am I doing here? This is really not how I am, not how I think. And there's just a lot of things that were just not right, not feeling good about the whole situation. And we did, we'll just say, get on the basis of ending the relationship. But the thing is, just after the effects of everything, it was just very, very damaging. Yeah. And all I could do is really just pour myself into things. Either at the time it was either being a little bit too much into vices, you know, either drinking or doing certain recreational things, and it just wasn't serving me right. And I was more or less numbing the pain or just putting something in front of it and just distracting me from what was really going on.
It happens, we're human, you know, so it's something that a lot of people tend to just, they take it really hard, and sometimes they're just like, oh my God, you know, how could I do this to myself? But once again, it's like people don't understand. You did this on your own. Right. And it takes a lot. You know, and hats off to you, because it really takes a lot from you. It drains you. Right. You know, but you're here and you are amazing, and you do so much for so many people. Thank you. You know, and we're gonna start getting a little bit into that. You know, but don't, like, you're just such an amazing person. Thank you, honey. And I really thank you so much for coming onto the show, because you know it takes a lot to even speak on that. Absolutely. But as all these moments do, they have a silver lining. Yeah. So what it was, I really just totally hit rock bottom. Like I really was just in a bad place, and the situation I was in, I was just further coping with things until I saw somebody's actually Instagram post, and it was something on a part-time basis, work from home, you know, some part-time hours, about 6 to 10 hours a week, just to dedicate to learning a skill. So I took it upon myself. I even, you know, sat on it for 2 days. I'm all like, do I reach this person? Do I send the message? And I did finally. But with even just sending the message, I still had a lot of reservations, like, oh, what is this? And it was the financial industry that actually got me to a lot of the person I am right now. And it's a bit amazing, because you would think finance industry sounds pretty stuffy and, you know, not really, we'll just say maybe not a place where I would be personally, because I really do not fit the mold with a lot of things. And a lot of social norms says a person, either the way I look or the way I conduct myself is not very, we'll just say, on the finance professional. But the thing is, I have created that space for myself to be able to communicate with a lot of people, not only within my community, but a lot of people that I have just reached out to and come to know that not only does financial services should and would be around a lot of the things that we know, but it is something that not a lot of people learn. And I was the product of somebody that wasn't financially stable. I was in a lot of credit card debt, and I needed help. I'll just say, I found this not only the opportunity to help me get more educated on just to fix my own problems in finances, but then I also saw it as just an opportunity to teach people about what it is that financial services could offer. And it ranges from things like debt consolidation, learning about taxes, about financial planning, about budgeting, about retirement. And there's just so many things that I got to learn and that I continue to expose and teach to people that, you know, hey, I didn't know that. Or, you know, I didn't know that there's more options than a 401k or CalPERS or a pension plan. And a lot of people don't even know that there is 401k. Exactly. It's out there. It's like, you know. Sorry. No, you're good. You're right. There's a lot of these different types of plans that
even from the get-go, if I were to tell you about a 401k was actually not meant to be a retirement plan. It is actually an entity that they put in for more the business owner so that they can get tax write-offs. And so the employees, they will just say it was a good incentive, but the thing is ultimately it didn't really serve the employees very well, because a 401k, if any viewers don't know this, it is played on the stock market. It is played on a place where it is technically a gamble. You don't know if you're gonna lose one day. You know you're gonna win some, but you're also gonna lose some. And that's what not a lot of people understand too. And they get into these type of, they're called investment strategies. These type of strategies, they don't really know too much about them. They just are offered through a job because that's just what we're grown up to know. I mean, I come from like a, we'll just say working class, kind of like in the middle class. Like I grew up and I was a bit well off, but not super, super well off. The thing is, I wasn't even taught like in school about, these certain things, and we grow up to be employees. We grow up in a system where we're taught, we're like, hey, stay in school, do this, do that, go to college, and you're gonna retire one day. I'm like, how do we retire? Like how is that supposed to be planned? And so a lot of these types of things were not even just discussed. I never really considered, hey, when am I going to retire? When am I going to do this or do that? It's just, we're kind of just left to our own devices. Yeah. And a lot of it is really just the lack of education. It really is.
I know nothing about it.
Yeah?
Nothing at all. I found out about 401k back in, I want to say 2001. And only because I stopped working somewhere and then I got a letter. That's the only way. And they were like, hey, you have this much available from what you've been working. You're able to get it. You'll get, I guess they charge you if you get it out before. So when are you supposed to even get this? Okay, so
if you were to go to a conventional 401k, first of all, you're not allowed to take out the money till you're 51 and a half. So there is a penalty. So if you take it out before, they're going to take out quite a bit. And in the state of California, when you do retire, 33% goes to taxes.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot. So imagine like you had like $1 million saved up.
Yeah.
And Uncle Sam's going to take $330,000 of that. And that's not including admin fees. Right. That's not including like the fees that we'll just say the company, like the admin fees and all these other little fees. So you could be paying a little bit more than $330,000, but ouch.
401k, is it something that you have to have? You have to get it?
And that's also a good education point for people. You don't have to get a 401k. It is offered, but it is more in the benefit for the employer because it is a taxable type of entity. And not a lot of people are just aware that 401ks, like Ed mentioned, that they are played on the stock market. So there is win, but there is loss. But that's just where it is. There is always potential for loss. And that's where I educate people that there are other investment strategies that do not have loss.
Like, for example?
Which I have gotten educated on a few different strategies, but I do educate on this one specific. It's called an Index Universal Life. So it is a type of plan that not only does it have we'll just say a retirement type of strategy, but it does also have a life insurance plan attached to it. And we'll just say the kicker is in this whole thing, according to an IRS code, if you have a piece of life insurance attached to that kind of strategy, it is tax-free. So what that means is that you can put your money in this strategy and it works for you, and it is a set it and forget it type of deal, kind of like if you were to be like the retirement, the 401k.
Yeah.
You know, we'll just say you put your, you know, your savings, which we call it, you know, oh, I pay $500 a month, I pay $300, I pay $1,000, just whatever you set your bracket to, however your investment is. You put it in there and you set it, but then also to come to think, not only that you have this plan, that it's compounding interest, which means that it is a stagger effect, meaning that you have a stair, meaning, for instance, you have a floor of 0 and then a cap of, we'll just say 25%. Whenever the stock market goes up, you know, your money goes up, but if the stock market goes down, your money just stays the same.
Oh, that's good.
You never lose money.
Yeah.
That really is the guarantee, that you never lose money. And that's where a lot of people just do not have the people, like, we'll just say, come to me learning about this stuff, and I'm like, oh man, like that just sounds not only amazing, but not too many people are introduced to either the companies or build relationships with these types of entities, because middle America really isn't served like that unless you have money.
Yeah.
And that's where I come in, you know, the person that's a bit of like either the middle ground or working class, that I get to introduce this type of strategy to people and actually let them know that, hey, this is not only the 401k that you have, now you have an option for something that has the ability to increase with money over time, but then also you have the life insurance plan, not only making it tax exempt, but then if you do pass away, you do have, you know, that monies that will be set aside so that you can go ahead and pay for your funeral arrangements. We'll just say in this example, if I passed away today, I have a little card in my wallet. You pull it out, you call the number, tell them everything, and then within, I believe, about 24 to 72 hours, they release money to go ahead and pay for your services.
Instead of having to deal with
the GoFundMe.
And you know, one thing that I found out about GoFundMe, and a lot of people don't know, you have to set it to where you have to take out every day. So if people donate, every day you take it out. If not, a lot of people wait and they're like, I'm not going to touch it until we need it.
Yes.
But what they don't understand is it'll take anywhere from 7 days to 2 weeks for them to give you that money. And then you find yourself stuck in an even bigger stress ball.
Yes.
When it comes down to your services, how is it that, do you reach out to people? Is there any way that they can actually come to you?
Oh, absolutely. I actively recruit, and I also like to promote that word. Recruiting is life. Imagine, you know, you wouldn't be able to do real estate transactions if you weren't to go to somebody, hey, I saw a review about you. Now I know who you are. You were recruited to that real estate because they had a really good repertoire and like good reputation of different skills and or things that they can help you with. So recruiting is something that I do strongly, which is on my social media. I message people. I even just, in the whole retrospective thing, I'm a friend farmer. Like, I very much am somebody that even if I know that they're not interested in what I do, I still just make friends. I just reach out to people, I send messages, and at some point, you know, I will let them know, like, hey, this is what I do. And even if it's just giving that intro, like, hey, these are all the list of things that I can do or have resources for. If you ever need help or you need like any kind of assistance in any way like that, just call me, contact me. And it is really that simple. Think about your car insurance, your real estate insurance. You have to call like a company, right? And you have to go through so many people. And literally, you give somebody like me a call that is a life agent, that is who you're talking to. I'm the one like is contacted, and I can, you know, hey, okay, like, you know, I'm gonna talk to, you know, other types of firms or other types of entities that need to help you with whatever issue that you're going through. And we don't really get that on any other kind of platform, like, you know, like I said, the insurances, they're all, you know, companies. You speak to somebody that's in, you know, Thailand or India, and, you know, I'm like, I'm here, you know, I'm personal, like somebody you can reach out to. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And so it really is that personal also, because life and death is a very personal subject.
Yeah.
And that's why it makes me really, now it does make me upset when I do see people close to me having GoFundMes, because I think about, well, for number one, it's a very private moment, and now everybody knows your business. Like, oh, and that's just where I don't, like I said, I don't judge, because that's just some people's circumstances. Mm-hmm. But now in a world where we have so many resources, so much exposure to things, it is a bit of like a naughty you, like for not doing some research about how to find either people like me or just find other resources, where it be, you know, burial services or even some public services we'll have for,
Does your company, do they take care of all that?
They do have funeral services, and we'll just say, for instance, if you might be a little older and you are not applicable for a life insurance policy, like it would be the strategy of the IUL, because that is also a process. You have to go through like a background check and a health check, and so it's extensive.
Sometimes you won't qualify for certain.
Yes, and so there are certain entities like Everest. I I'm appointed with Everest, so that, we'll just say somebody like over a certain age, or they couldn't qualify for conventional life insurance, they just pay for funeral services.
Okay.
And so that's, you know, just a nice resource to give to people.
Right.
You can, honestly, I'd rather pay $50 a month, or we'll just say, if worse came to worse, you paid, you know, 3 payments of $50, and then your loved one or you pass away. That's still, what, $150 that you just paid to the insurance, and they just paid for your whole funeral service?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, either way, I'd rather pay something knowing that there's a guarantee that somebody else will go ahead and pick up those expenses than to walk around this earth with nothing.
So, question, when it comes down to that, it has to be for the person that's purchasing it, or can you use it for a family member? Like if my brother was to pass, would I be able to use it for him?
I believe you could. I would have to be a little bit more elaborate on the answer, just because I'm gonna say, depending on the paperwork.
Yeah.
But I would reckon that if, we'll just say, if you wanted to buy, you know, your family member something, just as long as, you know, you have that with their name and their pertinent information, I don't believe it would be an issue as far as like you personally paying for it. So yes, family members could easily be a resource for those other family members.
Okay.
And so yes, that's something I believe that we can do.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people, for example, older abuelitos or uncles and aunts that are not in social media as much.
Yes.
But I mean, hopefully people are watching, you know, because it's word of mouth, right? But how would you even get to them? Do you actually just, like, literally, do you pick up the phone and start calling people on the daily, or?
I do a lot of my recruiting and prospecting in person. And so that has helped as well for the people that do not have social media, just to kind of be on foot. I've also, this is probably a little old school, but walk neighborhoods and, you know, go house to house. And I have like little flyers that say all the services that I provide. And at times somebody will open a door or, you know, see who it is, you know, because I don't think people really like people coming to their houses.
Yeah, or
you
sometimes
know,
they're just like, they just want to take my money.
Exactly.
I can't stress this enough, how important it is for people to actually invest in something like this.
Yes, absolutely. And as I discussed, there are a lot of options. And if somebody doesn't make a good amount of income and they need help or they need some resources, that is something that people can come to me for.
Really?
Yes, because we'll just say even at the most we'll say basic level. I do know that there's always a city that has cremation services, just depending on the county.
Right.
That I believe they're called the Omega Society, and they do the cremations, and like I said, it's the most basic form. Like they give you, the service of, the crematory services, and then, they give you the box. And that, I believe, is about like under $700.
Really?
Yeah. Because
in certain areas, it's actually a little bit more expensive.
Yes, that one particularly, I did some research, and that was in Orange, California, the Omega Society. But yes, we'll just say, even if it was at a late point that you couldn't qualify for services that I would be able to provide, I am also just, hey, ask me a question, like, hey, just even if you're not going to buy a product that's going to help you with your family and your burial services, at least I can guide you in a way where, like, hey, you can go ahead and reach out to them if you really truly that's not something you can afford. Like, and to be honest, most Americans don't even have at least $1,000 in their savings. Yeah. And I mean, that's, like I said, no disrespect. And I know a lot of people are really grinding and just trying to make it out there. But it is really just the fact that not a lot of people have a lot of money to work with just in general.
Yeah. So when you say that there's services that can help them, would you be able to tell us a little bit about those services?
Well, those services that I mentioned, the crematory services, I have not really had too many other outsources that I'm aware of right now, because also I am just a year into the financial industry, so of course there's more to learn. But that is a great question, and I will have to find out later on for you. So I would love to answer that, because that is something really important I do hear that people would need, absolutely.
If anybody would be interested in joining to work with you, for you, or how would they go about doing that? Okay,
so if you want to do what I do, which really, if I were to give you a good view in this, since I am still in training, and I do run for promotions, and that's like about every 3 months. So right now I'm actually running for a marketing director promotion. But to actually be recruited, just message me. I mean, really, it is easy as just asking for an opportunity, or if not, I have put out on social media, hey, I'm looking for people that want to do something part-time, learn a new skill. You can do it from home. We do everything from Zoom. And really, it is very convenient for a lot of families. We have a lot of professionals that work not only in our industry, but a lot of people that are medical professionals, a lot of lawyers, a lot of doctors, a lot of engineers, a lot of just honestly regular people that work jobs too, single moms, single parents, wealthy people, not so wealthy people. We have like all ends of so many different backgrounds that come and join us. So we don't discriminate. And I'll say our firm, which my firm is World Financial Group, they actually have one of the biggest populations of Latina business owners. Nice. And I think that's amazing, because I'd say a lot of Latinas have been very shoved aside, and I know we're people that are just so relentless, and we just we want to get what we deserve, but really it's still a merge. It's still not only a male predominant world here, but we have, and not only just in this firm, but there's a bunch of different financial firms in the country. But particularly World Financial Group is a very big supporter of minority groups and women and all types of life. So if you want an opportunity, you can reach out to me directly. If you have a bit of spare time to learn something new, about 6 to 10 hours a week, and you can learn exactly what I do. And it is easy as, showing up on a Zoom. You have a trainer, which they conduct pretty much the whole process, which is a presentation. And until you're comfortable, which I'm also working towards it's called the CFT, which is a certified field trainer. So somebody that can already do the presentations by themselves and now they become independent. So that's also something that I'm working towards also, but that takes a lot of hours, meaning a lot of experience. And so that's why I'm also somebody that always reaches out like, hey, you know, I'm working towards a promotion. I need these amount of hours so I can get that experience so that I can become independent. And that's where also things start to merge from, you know, being, you know, the rookie, the person that's, you know, not very knowledgeable. Now I get to, you know, be at a place where I can run my own appointments and not have to have my trainer. But I mean, I love my business coach and my trainer, but it'll be more of a success for him that I'm now on an independent basis. Like he's done what he needs to do. Yeah. So it is, we get people in, we train them, we get them independent, and then so they can do their own thing. Nice. Yeah, and it's great because there's just so much not only to learn in the finance industry, but where I'll come back to this in a circle where I told you that it's really changed my life is because of self-development. We have really just integrated this culture of that I'm a part of, that we talk a lot about our woes in business. You know, hey, you know, how do we talk to people? How do we, you know, navigate this conversation where somebody's like understanding what I'm saying, or sometimes we get difficulties in business, like we get blockages, or we get down on ourselves, like why isn't this working, or you know, a lot of things that we go through, a lot of challenges, and so we have those discussions, which we have general training 2 times a week. So we have Wednesdays and Saturdays. So we attend these meetings, like if you were to go, you know, on your team meeting, and we are there, all present, and these are a bunch of people, and they're like a bunch of little squares everywhere, like a bunch of people from all over the state, and they all go there just to hear this training and get all this advice. And not only that, they get recognitions, meaning like, oh, who got paid this week? Oh, who got a promotion? Who passed their licensing exam? Like there's just a ton of people just being, you know, lifted up. And so that's a really good thing. We don't get that in an employee setting.
I know. I was taking a business class, and I remember my instructor was just like, there's 2 different ways of coming about being a manager. You're either the one that scares people and puts fear. If you don't do this, I'm going to fire you, or oh my God, here he comes, so we better be doing what we need to be doing according to him. And then there's the ones that talk to you properly, and they're like, hey, you know what? I appreciate what you're doing. Maybe you could work a little bit more. You know, there's ways of getting through people. Yes. But sometimes certain people just don't take the time to do that. But I think it's great. I'm actually going to look into that myself.
Of course. And it all, honestly, it all starts with just a bit of an intro. As I had mentioned, that we do free consultations. And even though the word free is usually associated with something that isn't very valuable, if you go to Merrill Lynch or JP Morgan and Chase or all these other financial firms, they charge thousands of dollars to get consultation with a financial services provider, and that was analysis or planner, whatever words you want to use. People pay a lot of money for that, where we do it for free. And that's just where I also bridge the gap between our community, like our Latino community, where, you know, like I said, not a lot of us might know money the way I've been taught recently about how money works. We don't see it very positive. We see it like, oh, you know, either you have money or you don't have money. And we see it such a stigma of using money that it's usually in a vain way, or if not another way where, you know, we're very wasteful. So it is, you know, it's a bit of a subject where people don't understand, like if it's free, that doesn't mean it's invaluable. And so I do them, and our company does it already for free, so that people could get that intro. It really is. Like we're introducing, you know, you to all the people that we know to better serve you.
I think when it comes down to the Hispanic community, they're just afraid because so many people have taken advantage of them.
Right.
There's so many, in so many different ways. Like, hey, yeah, we're gonna help you. We're gonna help you, and they're just taking their money, and it's so sad because sometimes they're pushed to do that because it's like they have to meet a certain quota, I guess.
I see.
You know, so I love what you're doing though, and I'm so thankful that you actually got here. When I first saw your post, I was like, we have to bring her on the show. We have to bring her on the show. Yeah, but go ahead, continue.
No problem. And it really just brings joy to me when I'm able to find somebody that's open-minded.
Yeah.
And that's where I do see your expression of maybe not a lot of our people around us are very open-minded with that because of our past traumas and experiences. But I will reassure that we are a very highly regulated entity. We are all very much like, we're all licensed. I have a license. I actually would prefer to get more at some point. But, you know, this is an industry where, you know, it's very highly regulated and we do not mess around with people's information. It's all private. Whatever, we'll just say whatever business that we conduct via a Zoom and all that such, that is just in between us. I never expose, never talk about anybody's business because I have, you know, signed away myself to a company that, you know, that is their highest value is taking care of people. And we have a motto is no family left behind. You know, we help everybody, you know, whatever it may be. Like I said, we don't get paid until you're taken care of. So we'll just say all my meetings, like that is all my time that I'm putting into you so that I get to tell you about what we do, what we can offer you. And I do not get any compensation until pretty much you are all protected. And that's just the best thing ever. I'll even share you a story about my first client. My first client, she's actually a tattoo artist, and she had never had any like experience as far as like taxes or how to conduct her business because she always dealt with cash. You know, it's like the tattoo industry, like that's a lot of people still doing that.
Yeah.
And so I was able to, you know, have a consultation with her, find out what it is that she needed, and she actually ended up getting a policy for herself and her son. But even to think about like this person that, and she's responsible for most of my tattoos. so to have this person that I grew up with, her name is Joanna Nguyen, and she's anime and neo-traditional tattoo artist. Shout out to her. She's awesome. But I known her since I was about 19 years old, and I was like her original canvas. So it's kind of funny when she got connected back with me. I'm like, you know, I know you're just trying to reclaim your original art piece. I know you are. And I just find that so funny. She laughed her butt off with that. But yeah, so I was able to help her out, and she was like just so happy at the fact that not only that I got to be reintroduced back in her life, but now knowing that I got to help her protect herself and her family in case from anything happened. And I put it in a broad perspective like this too. Having protection for yourself is not just life insurance. What we'll just say specifically the IUL is built upon, it's also built upon that, like for instance, if you come down with an illness or you get injured, there are stipulations in your policy that if that happens, that the policy would pay you out for those types of whatever it may be, an illness or an injury if you become perhaps permanently disabled or need long-term care. Those types of would be like little attachments to that policy would help with those expenses. Whereas not a lot of, well, just even some conventional insurance policies they won't have those types of attachments. Whereas, you know, one policy could cover just, you know, A and B, and then, you know, this one won't cover, you know, C. And it's just really beneficial to know, not only just for the basis of what it is that we offer, but also there are many options to attach that for your specific needs. I mean, if you have a family history of cancer or, you know, diabetes, like, oh, it would be a good idea to attach a little long-term care rider with that policy or whatever it may be. And that's where it becomes a bit of a joy to me when I get to interact with clients. It's like, oh, well, you know, what if we attach this or attach that? You know, you never know that something like this can happen. And people really just, you know, they become so happy afterwards because now they have a peace of mind.
They feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
Just in case. It's so heartbreaking when you find yourself in a situation where you're just like, oh my God, like you said, when you have to go on to GoFundMe's or a car wash or asking for people like, hey, help me out with this. And it's one of those moments that you're just like, I'm really here. And I don't know what to do.
Right. There's some people recently that have passed away that have been either personal friends or people that I had known at one point. Mm-hmm. And I'll make an example. I won't say any names, but there's this one young lady that she recently lost her husband, and she just had a baby about 6 months, maybe 9 months ago, like less than a year old. And now they don't have a father, and that father was their main source of income.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't even know what their situation is. I've only just reached out and just say, hey, you know, if you ever need to talk, like, you know, message me or whatever it may be. But, you know, just the fact that, you know, they didn't have anything set in place and they had to do a GoFundMe for him. Yeah. It's just heartbreaking because I'm like, now you have a mom, single mom, widow, you know, alone with the baby, and the father didn't leave them anything. And it's just more, not even just like, oh, like, you know, don't leave them money or anything. It's not in vain like that. It's just the legacy, you know, of somebody that if they prepared and if they were to put something in place, they wouldn't be struggling, or they wouldn't have that, just that any of that type of idea that I'm alone. Like, nope, that one income is not there anymore. Now they supplemented. They gave you something so that you can live off of, and, you know, we'll just say if it needs to get back on your feet or whatever you need to do to, you know, get back into a workforce, or hey, like if they left a good amount of money, you don't have to work, you know, just take care of your baby or whatever. And it's just examples like that just really, you know, hurt my heart, because now that I've been a part of this industry, and it's all going to be a year, that now it hits me. I'm just like, it didn't before, you know, like, oh, somebody passes away and they do GoFundMe, whatever. But now it's like you get the personal experiences. You're like, gosh darn, now I get people around me that are passing away and they didn't have anything set up, and now I'm just like, oh, that really grinds my gears. But that makes me now more motivated. Like, now I need to talk to you. Now I need to reach out to people and just tell you that, you know, even if it's just an intro, it don't matter. Like, I'm like, really, I do not message people to, hey, buy this, hey, buy that. Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not saying money is not an object in my life, but it is more of being of service. Being of service to humankind that really motivates me. Because I can make the money, but the thing is, I want to be there for people. Like, there was no purpose at the time when I was married that I really concentrated on people. I was actually in healthcare before I did finance. Yeah, I was a medical assistant. I did medical insurance. I was the person, you know, you called, I needed authorization for an echocardiogram or whatever, you know, so on and so forth. And that was pretty rewarding, but I'll tell you, during COVID, when all those types of activities were happening, people were dying, not a lot of people were nice. And I understand that there was, you know, a lot of death, a lot of grief at that time, but it really just wore me down. Like, I I didn't have it in me anymore to be that person, that pillar of strength for people, either it be like them calling just for a medication or just calling to say that their spouse passed away. You know, I was like the first point of contact of our office, which did cater more to the older population. So it was, you know, the geriatric population that really just got me all attached to my little old people. You know, I just love them so much, and you know, just to see through all that just bad stuff, and it just took a toll on me. So, I mean, besides the fact that I did that at the time when I was married, and I was living in another state at the time, so I pretty much left that all behind. And it was an experience, but at the same time, I'm glad I was able to move on to something that was a lot more of a deeper purpose. Yeah. Because I felt a bit superficial in that setting, because even though I was helping people, I didn't really feel like I was living up to my full potential of helping people. Mm-hmm. So I just come here now and I'm like, hey, like, what can I do for you? You know, I ask so many people on a daily, like even on like just yesterday, like I had a meeting with my mom and some of her soon to be some project that she's doing for film. And I'm like, hey, like here's my card, here's my number. I'm like, you know, I'm the girl, you can give me a call if you're like, you know, alone somewhere and you got deserted or stranded, I will pick you up. Mm-hmm. Like, it don't matter. Like, it's just one of those things, like, maybe I've been in that situation, yeah. Nobody's there for me. And now I'm like, hey, I'll be there for you. You know, whatever it may be.
Do you find yourself with helping people, somehow it helps you heal?
Of course.
Everything that you've been through?
Yes.
It's such a rewarding feeling, right?
Of course it is, because I believe through human interaction, we get to not only build those stories like up within our own experiences, but then you get a different perspective on life when people share their experiences with you. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Now I have like a different view of this, and now I don't feel so ignorant. Yeah, and it's beautiful.
You were speaking about your mom.
Oh yes. So my mother, her name is Deanna Molay. Shout out Deanna Land Productions if you would like to follow her on Instagram. She is an awesome professional. She's been in film for over 20 years, a part of the Screen Actors Guild, but mostly doing background work. But now her baby is being a producer, but then we'll just say she's really building up to be a director at one point. But I will share with you our project that we just completed. It's called 57 Questions Why, and it is about a group of Latina women, 3 women that take a ride in a 57 Chevy Nomad. Nice. And that was actually a car that was rebuilt and restored by my grandfather. So it was a legacy that was left behind, and now we got to put it in a short film.
That is awesome.
And he would have been so proud. He would have been so proud, because like that was just his baby. Yeah. And he just built it from a shell. Like it was all like rust bucket out, like nothing, like really looked like a cacaroch, you know. It was ugly. He bought it for $50 in somebody's yard.
$50? This is the second time that I hear it. The lowest price ever, and I'm just like, can we just go back to those times?
Yes. And he just he restored this car and he left it for us, and we made it a part of this short film that describes this interaction between these 3 women, and we talk about subjects like virginity, suicide, being a single mom, depression, anxiety, like these subjects that a lot of people in our community are not very comfortable talking about. Yes. And we exposed a bit of those questions. Why?
When does that come out?
That is actually right now being in a film festival mode. Oh, wow. Yes, so we are putting it in different film festivals, which right now our first one that we are going to have a screening for is going to be at the Harmony Gold Theater in Los Angeles, California. That's on Sunset Boulevard. And it's going to be screened by the Mexican American Consulate Film Festival.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. I know,
When
right?
is that?
That is May 20th through the 21st.
Coming up.
Yes, so yes, and that's where I was sharing with your fellow people here that are so awesome. Thank you, Herds Media. Shout out to Herds Media. Thank you so much. That we will release soon what it would be the admissions and also the times, because it is a time slot of 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. So that's a big spread. So like we want to be specific when our film is actually going to be screened. So it would be details to come soon. Nice. But yes, save your dates for May 20th and 21st.
And let me know and tag me so I could post it, and so people can be reminded of it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. So it's 57 questions why, and we are just so proud of this film because it is like hitting home for a lot of these subjects that weren't talked about. And it is something that we are going to push to be in another level, meaning like we're going to sell this to somebody that would be able to do it justice with a bigger budget.
That is amazing.
I know.
So how did it feel when you were filming?
Oh, it was emotional.
Yeah.
Because it is subjects that I never talked about with my own mother, and so we are presented in the intro in the first few minutes of like that question. I'll even say it was a question about why my mother didn't talk to me about my virginity. And I don't know if that's a subject relatable to any of y'all out there, but my mother didn't talk to me about that. She just talked to me about birth control and my period, which I'm like, hey, essential, so that's I don't get knocked up. But that's it. Like there needs to be a little bit more of a process of talking to your children about, love, relationships, the dynamic or the importance of why you should save yourself, not just based on tradition, but just because you want to be in love with the person that you choose, and not just choose anybody just because of maybe you're lacking in love or in attention. And I'd say that's long-term hurt.
Yes, no, definitely.
Definitely long-term hurt. So I'd say that is a subject that a lot of people should bring up with their young ones, either male and female. Yes, both. And
yeah, when I talk to my children, they're just like, here she goes again, and I'm like, no, I mean, you might hate it, but
instill it.
It's something that I wish I had when I was younger, and I didn't. I wouldn't talk to my mom about nothing. I got my period and my uncle took me to get pads.
Wow.
My uncle was like a father figure in my life then. So I was just, because I couldn't approach her with anything, or at least that's how I felt,
Yes.
And it's sad. It's I'm definitely looking forward to this movie. Anything else that you would want to share with us?
Well, I could be followed on my social media. That is B as in boy, .A as in apple, .P as in Paul, .S as in Sam, _ C as in cat. That is BAPC, and my name is Ashley Clyde.
Thank you so much, Ashley.
Thank you, honey.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. And I will be touching bases with you because I'm interested in learning a little bit more about what you do.
Yes.
And I am so thankful for you coming.
Thank you so much.
You guys, thank you. This is Making Changes.
Making Changes. Thank you so much.